So we are going to test some tubes in this Emerson L122. Wrote down the tube settings here. Unfortunately, this chart is not only broken, but it also doesn't show the older tubes, so I had to look them up. Anyway, first we will test the rectifier. It's an 80. Now this tester does not test an 80. I was looking a little bit, and the best thing I could find is a 5Z3, which I believe is very similar. So we are going to test it at that, and I believe, oh, actually, I should do it first. I believe it will test a little bit low. So 3. Let's see what happens. Yep, definitely glowing. Short light is not on. So I guess we will see what happens here. Well, like I said, testing low, probably because the bias is wrong. But it's probably good enough to at least work. Next, let's do the 41. Come on, come on. Hard to do it one-handed. So the 41, it's about there. So we want 33. And it's close. 33, 6.3, of course. 3. Up is 2, 3, 4. Down is 1 and 5. Okay. Let's give it a try. See what happens. It's glowing. You know, and before I do anything else, I'm going to do a line adjust. That's about right. So we're good there. I don't see any short lights coming on. Oh, that tests really good. Fantastic. This is an 85. One thing I should just mention, the 85 was replaced in later versions of this chassis with a 75, but this is the earlier version, so we're going to 6.3, 3, up is 2, 10, down is 1, 5. Really weak. I do have the right settings for this, right? 47, 3. Okay, so that's not so good. So the 85, which I'm sure I don't have, is probably dead. This is a 66. 66. So 66, 30, 3, a whole bunch of them, 2, 3, 4, 10, down 1, 5. Really? Oh, there it goes. No short light on. Also kind of weak. Okay, so 6A7, we have 30. So we're at 6.3, of course, 2. Now there's 2 settings for this one, 2 sections, 1 and 5, or 4 and 5, 1 and 6 down, and 6.3, of course. Tube is, yeah, it's lighting. Okay. No short. Yeah, it's good enough. So I wrote down the weak and potentially bad tubes in this radio. I also wrote down the light bulb I need to buy for that tube tester. So that's great. So I think my next step will be to start replacing some capacitors. At least the 2 filter capacitors here, this electrolytic, which was already replaced in the past, and a couple others maybe, you know, just to get started on this. This is the speaker I found. It's a 4x6, I believe, probably from a car, but certainly won't fit in the cabinet. Well, I mean, I could probably get it to squeeze in there, but you know, it's not the right thing, and it just, I'd rather get a 6.5 inch, which is what was in there already. Interesting thing about this middle one right here, that is actually a very early AC rated capacitor. It's across the line. You can see it's going from one side of the line right over here to chassis ground, and that will be replaced by something that looks like this, if I can get it. Come on. That gets replaced by one of these. The idea is that they fail open, so you'll never have a direct connection to the chassis. For example, if this is shorted, you'll have one side of the chassis, you'll have the chassis connected directly to one side of the line, and you know, that's a bad thing. So a little update on the Emerson. We've got a couple capacitors replaced now. I put in a 22, this is a 22, and I put in a 47 over here. And you can see I went from ground to another spot where it was a little more convenient to connect. Can move that back. I will check those resistors as well. I replaced the cathode bypass, which they put a very high value. I mean, the value doesn't matter that much, but I put in a 10 microfarad. They put in a 50 or something. I think what I'm going to do is continue on changing some of these capacitors with high voltage on them. So that would be this one. There's one back here. That's the coupling capacitor back here. And I'll probably change this line capacitor as well, because you know, if that's shorted, that's always fun. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back. Here we have several capacitors replaced. We've got the electrolytics. Put that back up. We got the line capacitor here. This one, just got to shrink that, but that's actually 2 in series, because it's actually a 1,000 volt rated capacitor, and even though there's nowhere near 1,000 volts in here, it's supposedly for voltage spikes on the output transformer. So I put 2 630 volt, it should be fine. Change the coupling capacitor back there, it's kind of hidden, and may change a couple more. Just take a look at what they are and see what needs to be changed. And then next thing though, I think I'm going to add that resistor. Now I have this big 1.2K resistor. And I'm going to put that from here across to the second filter cap. So it's basically going right between the filter caps. And then we can hook up a speaker and see what happens. Now we have the resistor, that big 1.2K. I know it looks awful, really looks stupid, but it should work.